Efkaristopoli for switching to English, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to discuss the Evident project. So I'm going to talk about nudging consumers for energy efficiency. So we've got a switching gears from what you've been discussing already today and what Telemahos was talking about in terms of infrastructure. I'm going to talk about what we can do in terms of consumer behaviour. So together with my colleague, so my name is Paul Liston from Trinity College in Dublin, and together with my colleague Emma Delamere, we are leading the behavioural insights aspect of this Evident project. We're located in Trinity College, which I'm sure some of you will have visited if you ever went to Dublin. We are based in the School of Psychology, so we are psychologists and human factors experts, and we're part of the Centre for Innovative Human Systems, which is about putting people at the centre of process in terms of trying to get impact on performance. Within the Evident project, we're looking at the behavioural insights and trying to leverage that insight about behaviour and consumers to achieve energy efficiency. So I'll skip through some of these and some of our previous projects. So the one thing, or there are three things I want to talk about. Firstly is just touch on briefly the revision of the Energy Efficiency Directive to give some kind of understanding of where we're coming from. And then I'm going to talk about behavioural insights and nudging, and then the Evident project. So there is a proposal for the revision of the Energy Efficiency Directive in order to align even further with the climate goals. So you can see that the current 32.5 headline target, there's a proposal to revise that to include an energy efficiency target of 36% for final energy consumption and 39% for primary energy consumption. So there is still a lot of work to be done if we're to meet that, and the focus of the Evident project and what I'm going to talk about here today is trying to leverage the individual consumer behavior in terms of achieving energy efficiency. So not just in terms of supply or that kind of level, but looking at an individual consumer. Oops. And to do that, we're using behavioral insights. And behavioral insights is a kind of a discipline that looks at understanding how people make decisions and how they behave, and trying to leverage that and trying to exploit that in order to make people choose more environmental decisions. So that's where the term nudging comes from, and you can see from those two icons there. It's about leading people in the right direction, and the extent to which you direct them or push them is obviously important. But it's about closing the energy efficiency gap. There's a low dispersion of technological advancements across consumers. So while we have all these innovations and we have all these things that can make an impact on an individual's energy efficient behavior, sometimes they don't choose that option, or they don't use it appropriately or fully. And that's because of behavioral biases. So these are kind of failings in the way we rationalize things, and they impact the decisions we make. So what we want to do is nudge people and alter the choice architecture to change people's behavior in a predictable way, and in the way that we want, in the way that makes better use of energy. So there's no removal of choice. So people still have a choice, but you're making the preferred options more easy to access. And a simple way of looking at that or thinking about it, an example, is if you're booking a flight and there's a carbon offset for your flight, rather than selecting it if you want to do the pro-environmental behavior, it would already be pre-selected for you and you opt out. Similar things have been done with organ donation in various countries, which caused lots of problems for various constitutions, where you were automatically included in organ donation, and you would have to opt out if that's what you wanted to do. So that's the kind of the theoretical background of where the discipline comes from. The Evident project seeks to examine what drives an individual's energy use and their decision making. So we're looking at an individual consumer. We want to know why they're behaving that way. So we're examining the relationship between energy consumption and other areas that are growing, like financial literacy and behavioral biases. All of this is pointless unless it contributes to robust policy measures and interventions, because that's the only way that we can achieve impact. So that's the focus of the project. We're doing all of this through 5 use cases. They're large-scale use cases, and they're designed comprehensively to assess the biases that impact decision making. So, why do people make these decisions, and what are the biases that influence them? We want to estimate the intercorrelations between financial literacy and consumption behavior, and estimate the impact of specific policy behavioral-based interventions. I heard something. Sorry.
Go on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody
go on to finish your presentation.
Okay. So primarily this is based on one use case using a serious game. The serious game is what we're trying to use to determine the impact of financial literacy, demographic factors, and behavioral intention on decisions to repair or replace household appliances across resident types. Another aim of it is to teach users how to make more effective repair or replace decisions when considering the financial and environmental impacts. So here's a mock-up of the serious game. So it's a life simulation game. People will have various roles, whether that's a landlord, a tenant, or a homeowner, and people move their avatar around the screen and do various things. The objective is to maintain the environmental impact, their comfort, and their finances. And you can see the gauges that are there on the left-hand side of that screenshot. The rationale for this is that energy-related financial literacy and energy efficiency, while we know something about them, there's a lot, the interaction with other factors is understudied. So we don't know enough about how these interact and what are the factors that are impacting on that. Another one is that rental properties. We know that 1 in 3 EU citizens live in rented accommodation, and the split incentives, so the fact where the landlord and the tenant don't have the same objectives and they don't have the same outlay if they're buying a more energy efficient appliance, is a key barrier. So we want to exploit naturally occurring improvement opportunities. So within the serious game, an appliance will break down, and we will analyze and study how people make the decision about whether to repair that appliance or replace it. And the replacement, whether that's with a more energy efficient appliance, a less energy efficient appliance, one that costs the same, costs less. The serious game is an experiment to help us figure this out. And the other thing is about the EU right to repair. So, and that's what I was just touching on there, that early replacement is a key problem, the consumer role in product placement and product labels and decision making. So the serious game is something that will give something to the participants, but it will also, as an experiment, give us data that we can use to answer those unanswered questions in the research landscape. I would urge you to follow us on social media. We have a LinkedIn page, we have a Twitter account, we have a website. On the website, you can subscribe to a newsletter. I know it's very old-fashioned to be doing newsletters, but it's a handy way to just insert it into your email and get feedback when we have it for you. I think that's about it.
Okay.